What's up, guys? We are back with another Power Rangers Lightning Collection review, taking a look at the second deluxe monster for the year as we're kind of ending out 2021 just like last year. We got our two monsters at the end of the year. We're getting two monsters at the end of this year too, and we are taking a look at another, of course, Mighty Morphin monster in Guy, one that I'm very excited about because he is a very classic MMPR monster. Just one of those ones that you kind of instantly think of when you think of that show. So, of course, we've got him here in the standard monster size box for the line. So it's oversized. It's not quite as big as the Pudgy Pig box, but it's still oversized. So figure there in the window, you've got that Tom Whalen artwork on the front that wraps around to the spine. And then the back of the box, in typical fashion, gives us that sort of CG render shot with his major accessory. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package, our deluxe Guy figure. This one almost ticks all the boxes for me, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty obvious which one he doesn't, but for the most part, this is a really cool figure. It's a fun figure, and a lot of times that's really what I care about, is whether it's a fun figure, if it looks pretty good, and if it also moves well. That's not bad either. And he moves pretty normally for a Lightning Collection figure. Still seems very in line with the line, but there's a couple things on this guy that I didn't know about until I actually got him in hand in terms of how he moved. I kind of figured a few things were just, static pieces. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. The first thing is the head, or, well, the lack thereof, right? He doesn't really have a head. He has sort of a head. He's covered in eyeballs, so is he entirely a head, just made up of eyes? What is he? What is this thing? It doesn't really matter, because he has moving parts up here. It's kind of hard to move him around at times, but the eye moves. And I did not know this, and, I don't know if I should have known this. I probably should have, right? You can kind of get something into these little grooves here. It does move down and up, It is kind of tight, though, so you've got to kind of work at it, but it moves. And that's really cool on its own. But he also has a working eyelid, which, chances are this is probably in the promo shots and I just missed it or I forgot about it. But to sort of discover it while playing around with him was really cool. So there is a lot of movement, well, a decent amount of movement in the eye area. It's not a head. He's not going to twist all the way around, but that's still pretty cool. Arms go out at the shoulder. They will, of course, rotate, but you've got these eye tendrils in the way, so that he goes out as far as he really needs to, but he can't really lift up too far, because these are not going to move. They are where they are. They're very hard plastic. There is a butterfly joint there. It's minimal at best, but it's there. We've got a single jointed, like 90-ish degree rotating elbow. You do have hinges and rotation at the wrist. It's kind of limited. You get a little bit of hinge in and out, but he's got thick wrists, and they hit the forearm, basically. The torso is a single piece. He kicks backwards slightly. He kicks forward a little bit. There is good tilt side to side, and then it's also your rotation point, too. Legs go out pretty far. That's pretty good. They kick forward all the way. You can kick backward just slightly. There is a thigh cut there. We've got double jointed knees. They go back pretty good for being so chunky. And then, of course, we've got our rocker down here, which is okay. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. He's got kind of tree trunk barrel style legs. You also have rotation at the ankle, too. And then you've got pretty good hinges. Hinges forward really nicely, actually. Back, not quite as much, but still pretty solid. So he's pretty normal for the monsters, right? There's nothing too crazy here as far as what he can or can't do. The big thing for me is just how expressive he can be with that eye, with that eyelid, and the fact that it was, whether I should have known it or not, kind of fun to just find it while playing around with him. Otherwise, he is still very normal in many ways from what I think of when I expect to see one of these bigger, slightly beefier deluxe monsters. Now, when it comes to the look on this guy, no pun intended, I suppose, right? He looks pretty good. Now, it's obvious that there is a few things that could be done to make this figure more impressive, and I think they've done some of it. Some of it is here, but it's not everywhere, and it's kind of the thing when it comes to this line. So far, Pudgy Pig has been the one that's kind of gotten away with it by being just pretty solid in general, but Pumpkin Rapper had the issue where his head had like no paint on it really, and then King Sphinx was missing details like the black nose, which changes up the entire look of that figure. This guy suffers from a few things. It's not the end of the world to me personally, but it is still a thing because he is not fully painted like you would want him to be. He is covered in eyeballs and they are all sculpted on here. I can't knock the fact that the thing is sculpted really well. Like there's a ton of detail all over this. I mean, even look at the back, like tons and tons of detail, and there is paint all over this figure. But it's really not enough. Like there's a lot, but it's not enough. And it's probably never going to be when it comes to something like this in this line. Like there's always going to be that concession made and they're going to cut down paint applications to get it out the door. He is missing a lot of paint when it comes to just getting some of the eyes painted. Like here's one right here. It has no paint on it. A lot of them don't have any pupils on them. Things like that. There are little things about him though that do look really good, like certain eyes that have different colors. Like this big one right here was usually kind of like a yellowy color in the show, and many times it's kind of a light brown here compared to some of the darker browns, but there's different shades for the eyes, so I do appreciate that. One of the big things for me though is the fact that he is very, very stark white on the majority of the figure. So like the chest, the majority of the arms, and then the legs, it's just super bright. And this guy was absolutely dirty in the show. He's very like this, like all the stuff on the hands and up around the face, like this wash to give him that sort of like dingy color looks really good. It's kind of like a smoky dirtiness to him. It looks really nice, but he's way too clean on the rest of the body. So there's very much like two sides to this figure because the sculpt is really well done. I think size-wise, he is really nice. I'll show you, up to the Rangers and then like Pudgy Pig here shortly. But I think for the most part, a lot of folks' criticism is going to come down to the fact that there's just not enough paint on him. He is too clean for the majority of the figure. And then, of course, it's kind of uneven by the fact that he is dirty up top and then dirty on the hands, but not really anywhere else. And then, of course, you're missing a lot of that detail on the eyeballs. There are just a lot that are missing. And I'm never personally going to go to the trouble to even attempt to try to fix that. I would love to see what somebody is capable of doing when they fully kit this guy out. I might hit him with a wash to bring out some of that detail like I did on the other monsters that needed it. King Sphinx and of course Pumpkin Rapper needed it really badly, but he definitely needs it. I feel like that's like the one thing that's keeping him back from being probably the best monster in the line, at least for my taste, is that he is missing a lot of that detail that really does kind of hide some of this really good sculpt. Because if you could imagine like a bunch of like dinginess and dirtiness around all of the eyeballs would really make everything else pop. So you'd have like kind of browns and grays on what would be the skin for this guy, like up here, and then you'd have these white eyeballs peeking through, so it would look really good. But of course the figure itself is missing it. The sculpt is great though. The eye is really nice. I love the way they're able to make it move. I love the fact that this closes. I think that's really cool to be, like put him to sleep or whatever. But it's a fun looking figure. It's got a great sculpt, but it is undoubtedly missing a lot of paint apps. And then, of course, for some size comparisons, here we go with stuff within the line. So here he is with a Ranger. So we've got our MMPR Black on the left, and we've got Pudgy Pig here on the right. And you can see that this guy lines up with Pudgy Pig pretty well. He is the same height because Pudgy Pig has that, plume on the top of his helmet. That's what makes him as tall as all the other monsters. But, of course, there's a big difference in terms of overall bulk and just sizing, but they are still very comparable. And then you can see that he absolutely dwarfs the Rangers, which, your mileage may vary on whether or not you think he needs to be this big. I still really like it. I think they look awesome being so huge, so I'm not upset about that at all. And then here we go with another 6-inch Hasbro line. So here he is with the most recent Boba Fett. I'm not showing off with that. And here he is with a Motu Masterverse, a Revelation Man-at-Arms for a 7-inch style figure. And then we'll take this guy away and we'll just do one more bigger figure, but still definitely in a very different style. So here he is with the Super 7 Thundercats Ultimates Slide. So he's a really big figure. He's bulky, but he's not tall. So it gives you an idea of what he looks like alongside another figure that's, girthy and really thick. So there's a lot of plastic on this guy. He's a very big figure. He's very tall. He's very meaty, and he will definitely look imposing alongside your Rangers. And then as far as accessories goes, iGuy comes with some cool stuff. He doesn't have tons, but he has one really big accessory. So this is like his main eye. So this is the thing that, is kind of like his weakness, really. And it comes on its own stand. You can take it off, but you really can't use it without it. And it's got this big energy effect that sort of pegs in here also. So it's all kind of one piece, but of course it's separate. It does have a decided lack of paint on it like the rest of this set, but I think it looks fine. It's not quite as stark white as the figure itself. He's got a little bit of dinginess to him, but it's not paint. It just seems to be the plastic that it's molded in. And then it does have the big eye. This one does not seem to move as best I can tell. Either it's stuck or it doesn't move. I don't think it's supposed to move, but, and I can show you what's really cool. So you can pop this little lens off, and you can do this on iGuy as well. The figure itself does this also. So you've got a little clear lens, and then you've got this energy effect that actually pegs in to the cavity that it creates in there. So there's a little lip that you can then peg this energy effect into, and it's an eye blast, obviously. So you can have it on the main eye, or you can have it on the actual iGuy figure itself. You just pop that little lens off. Again, it's just this little piece right here. And then you've got a way to attach it, and it locks in place, and it is not going anywhere unless you want it to come out. So I do really like this. I mean, it's a very key aspect of the monster and his power and what he is. So it's really cool that they managed to give us this little guy. And then to round him out, he does get a couple of extra hands, so you get some fists. So he's got like a gripping hand and a style pose hand in the box, and then you do get these hands, and they do have that kind of dingy wash on them, and they've even got some eyes painted on it too. So they did make sure to do that, but again, still missing a few details. But he is pretty well stacked in terms of the substance of the accessories here. Not a lot of stuff in the box in terms of quantity, but I think the quality is really there because I'm very, very happy with how this guy works. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this, but that's not to say he doesn't have his faults, and really the faults lie in the paint department, and I'm sure other folks are going to agree with me on that he is definitely missing some. It's not the biggest deal in the world to me. Once I have him in hand, he's definitely still a very fun figure. He moves well. He's got a lot of size to him. He's weird looking. He's got a cool accessory. He's got effect parts. So I'm really happy with the overall package, but he is still missing paint, and he would look, twice as cool if he was really dirty and he had all those eyes and he had all the pupils filled in. So it's not like he couldn't be better, but I'm also still pretty happy with the way he turned out right out of the box. So that's going to do it for this look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection iGuy. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.